listen, motherfucker. We have another episode. We have Mr. Frasier here, and we met because you were performing at the Big Lake Bar and Grill, I think.
Well, it was actually we met at Bertelsen.
Oh, we met at Bertelsen.
It was actually a complete fluke and an accident that we met. So my friend Scott is the guy that either manages or does the event stuff at Bertelsen, the big guy with the beard that did all the talking.
Yeah.
So he's a friend of a friend. Long story. There's a very long story there, but the basis of it is I work in construction. He knows my dad, found out I played music, got a hold of me. And so he invited me and my wife up anytime to go. He's like, hey, if you ever want to come up, and we have free tickets for you, like just show up, text me and let me know you're coming. And a day before or something, and I'll let you in.
Got it.
So I heard Chris Eager was playing. I love watching him. I've been watching him for years. I actually used to play open mics at a place called Collector's Choice Restaurant in Snohomish, and Chris would come in there all the time and play, or play jazz night, or they'd hire him out to play a book a night. And one of my friends was like, this dude kills it on a guitar. And so I'm just watching him, and I'll be honest, I was so mad the first time I watched him, like, this dude's so good. I just should give up. I was like, man, I'm going to give up.
So Bertelsen is Bertelsen Winery is a venue that's local to our area here in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a Stanwood or a Mount Vernon address. I actually have no fucking idea.
I think it's technically Mount Vernon. When we drove up there, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because you drive past a sign that says Skagit County, probably.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
yeah,
we were
there. So they had Tom Banger and Chris Eager up there playing, and they were so Scott invited me up to come watch the show for free, come hang out. My wife loves wine, so we're like, yeah, let's do it. It was just a fun little date night idea. So we drove up, and Scott was like, hey, bring your guitar. I'm like, are you sure? That's a little weird, especially because you're talking about like huge acts, like big acts, like Chris and Tom. And I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know Thomas very well. So this is the first time I'd been exposed to him. And so I roll in, and Scott goes, Scott meets me and goes, come on in, hold on. You got to come meet Thomas and Chris. I go, all right. And so they shake hands, and he pitches me to them about me playing like a couple of songs at some point. And Thomas was the most laid back dude I've ever talked to. And he's like, yeah, man, totally. Chris has got to leave early to go do another gig and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, at some point we'll take a break. And if you got your guitar with you, we'll just have you come up on stage.
So instead of it being totally awkward, it was zero awkward.
No, not at all.
And they were just completely cool about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, are you? And I told Scott, I was like, are you sure? Like, that is stepping on some toes there, and some big toes that I don't need to be stepping on. He's like, no, dude, it's fine. Thomas is totally down with it. And I'm like, all right. So yeah, I came up, and then halfway through the show, Thomas, they took a break. Chris had to leave. Yeah. And Thomas came up to me and goes, hey, go grab your guitar, go plug it in, do a few songs. I did 3 songs. Well, I did 4 songs total. And him and I really quickly he was like, well, maybe I'll jump up and do this or do that, or, do a harmonica bit or whatever. So I was like, okay. So I did 3 songs, and then I saw him kind of walking across the back of the venue. He's like put his finger up. And I'm like, you want me to do one more? Like I can get off the stage anytime. It's your show, man. Like I feel like I'm totally out of place right now. And he comes up and he goes, what song do you think I'd know that you play? I'm like, I mean, dude, I love playing Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that'd be great with a harmonica bit to it. And so he's like, let's do it. And, he got up on stage and asked me what key we were in, key of C, and he grabbed his harmonica and we busted out a quick little tune. And then you guys came up and talked to me afterwards. And then I was playing a show at Big Lake the next night.
Yeah, literally.
So you guys came to that. You and your wife came to that.
Got it. So it's obvious that Mr. Frasier plays, and so that's how we met. But why don't you? I mean, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who the fuck are you? I normally don't use last names, just because some people freak out over the name of the podcast and they know all the ridiculous fucking shit that I talk about. So you're more than welcome, because we're going to. You also have your own podcast called Dissonant Harmonics, and we will spell that for everyone and let them know it's all about music, and you can talk about So I think what would be cool, instead of going further about how and why we know each other, why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal story and have that go into letting us know about your podcast?
Yeah, man. So I grew up, I mean, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I actually grew up here in Stanwood, the first few years of my life. Parents got divorced when I was 5, moved around a bit. Dad and mom were separated, saw dad every other weekend. Mom had us most of the time. We moved around through Snohomish County a lot. Luckily got to stay at the same school most of the time. So I think, including my dad moving around and my mom moving and then meeting my stepdad, I think I counted it was around 18 times that I had a different home by the time I was 18, I think.
Yeah. Sounds like my wife.
Yeah. So always so I was always on the move, but like I said, I did have the stability of family was always there. That wasn't an issue. And then always had the same elementary school the whole time and was in the same school district. So I didn't lose any of my friends. I had the luck of different house, but everything else was the same.
Nice.
Made it really nice because now I can literally sleep on anything now. Like people are like, I was like, pull up a park bench, I'll sleep on it. I'll find a way to do it. Like I just got that knack. But yeah, so grew up in a musical family. We were a lot at my grandparents a lot. There's a piano right in the front room all the time. My dad plays guitar and drums, we always had a guitar in the house. He mostly played drums in bands when he was younger. My grandfather, up until he lost some of his fingers to a table saw, is an amazing guitar player. Like he would just pick up any guitar and start just going, just playing and plucking and having a great time.
God, I wish I had that problem.
Yeah. So he just starts ripping. Like my first guitar was a little 3/4, like kid size Strat. My grandfather's like, let me see that thing, and plugged into this little tiny amp that was smaller than your computer and just starts plucking away, just going. And I'm like, wow, you could do that? And so I had no idea my grandfather had the superpower. My grandparents on my mom's side sang a lot, did a lot of that stuff. I grew up doing choir as a kid in church and whatever. But I always had a thing for rock and metal. My dad, the first song I remember hearing was Don Henley, Forgiveness, right off of the End of Innocence album. Mm-hmm. But the first song that really hit me that I remember hearing was Metallica's Sad But True. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, my adrenaline's going. This is awesome. And I lost my mind to that. So yeah, I grew up, I always had a little, a kid drum kit in the house. Mm-hmm. Always did. So my first instrument was actually drums before I did anything else.
I've given that as a gift to some kids, but it was mostly just to fuck with the
just to mess with the parents.
Not because I'm musically inclined in any way.
Just because you want to watch the parents be like,
yeah, I wanted to see the look on the parents' face when they open it.
Yeah. So I did drums. I kind of had a little crappy kids kit, and then it got a little bit better of a kids kit. And then we got to the point where I had nowhere to put a drum kit, a full size one.
Yeah.
And of course, at that point, everybody's tired of me playing the drums. So I didn't actually play music at all for a few years, probably 10 years. I did trumpet in high school and was actually, I'm going to say this to all the high school band teachers out there. If you're only giving the kids 3 or 4 sheets of music for 3 or 4 months, which is what mine were doing, I had it memorized forwards and backwards, could have slept through it and still played it. I always have been gifted with how music works, if that makes sense. I couldn't tell you music theory to save my ass, but I just know the patterns. Because for me, I look at music and a guitar like a grid. When you're a kid and they'd say complete the pattern, it was like blue triangle, yellow square, red circle.
Yeah. And
then they'd keep doing it, and then they'd say do the next 3 parts in the sequence. That's how I look at a guitar or music. So it's like doing a pattern. And if you can learn the pattern, whatever. So yeah, so I did trumpet, and it was so boring because you'd play one note at a time, and I learned the pattern of the song. I'm like, okay, this is gonna drive me nuts. And actually, the way I started playing guitar, I technically started singing first. Like I said, did choir all the way through being a kid, and never knew what my voice was or how it worked. Just knew I was supposed to sing these parts in this way.
Okay.
But then my parents, when Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast back in 2011, 2012, they went over to New Jersey to help. And so I was still home for the summer. stayed with a friend of ours, and he was the head volleyball coach for my high school. So there, he's like, well, you're going to work, which was Arby's, which was up the road from the high school, but it's in the afternoon. So he's like, and I didn't drive yet. So he's like, why don't you come with me to volleyball practice? You can walk up to work, and then, I'll do volleyball practice. And then when you get done with work, one of us will pick you up.
Girls volleyball practice.
Yeah.
So you got to sit there and watch all the girls practice in their fucking volleyball shorts.
But you have to remember, I am the most...
Yes, please.
You have to remember at the time, I am the most awkward and ugly kid in the high school. I have like glasses on. My face is completely acneed out. Even at 18 years old, I was a late bloomer.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I'll give you a picture to post. I am one of the people see the photo of me from my senior year of high school and they're like, that's not you. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like, it's bad.
Got it.
And so, yeah, I'm stuck there, sitting there. And like, he was like, I'll open the weight room, whatever you got to do, just something, and, pack your work clothes and just hang out. So after the first day, people are asking if I'm his kid. He's 33. I'm almost 18. Like, it's weird. And like, and these are my classmates. Like,
right.
And these are all the hot girls in my class that want nothing to do with my ass. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something. Well, it turns out his wife happened to have a guitar. And my dad had given me like a little, like I said, that 3/4 size guitar and stuff like that. But I never learned how to play.
I just fucked with it, but you never learned how to do it.
Played around with it or put a song on and tried to follow the notes one at a time. So luckily enough, we actually had a school computer that was in basically the equipment room, the equipment closet. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, I guess no time like the present. I'm stuck here for 6 hours a day, and I'm not going to sit here and just be awkward and be the creepy guy sitting in the bleachers.
Right.
So I put myself in that closet with that computer and just started looking up. Basically, I would just Google songs that I wanted to learn how to play. And then I would get the chord chart that had the chords over the lyrics and what it looks like. And then I would go Google how to play the chord because I didn't know how to play it.
And roughly what year was this?
This is going into my senior year. So I'm 17 years old and just, so this is going into, this is 2011 because I graduated 2012. Okay. So 2011, I'm 17. And so I just sit there and I just literally Googled, the first song I learned how to play on my own was Stain's song, Everything Changes. Mm-hmm. And I just literally Googled it, E, and luckily the song's just a 4-chord song, E, A, C sharp minor, back to A, and then you repeat. So again, it's like a pattern. So I just Google, how do I play an E chord? Okay, that makes sense. Play it. Cool. And the whole time, it's actually fun. I'm texting my dad during the week, like, what does it mean when my fingers have gone from their normal color to red, to purple, to white, then back to red again, and now they're bleeding? He goes, means you've been playing the guitar a lot, son. Keep it up. So learn how to play those songs. At that time, and this is where I'm going to backtrack a little bit. For those of you at home, I have 80 of those HD things, so you're going to see me skip around a lot.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to backtrack. My buddy who played guitar, we did a cover of Seether's song Broken, mm-hmm. and we went and played an open mic one time the year prior. So he was...
While you were in high school?
Yeah, while I was in high school. So we went and played an open mic, one song open mic, and that's all you got. And so we played it.
When you say we played it, you played also, nope, or you just sang?
I just sang.
And he played.
And because he heard me singing and was like, dude, you got a good voice. Let's do some songs. Cool. So I played this open mic, never sang in front of people before outside of like choir or something.
Were you freaking out?
Oh, I was losing my mind. I actually have terrible stage fright. You'd never know, but before I get on stage, I'm shaking. I'm like vibrating.
Even right now?
Not right now. No. If you put a microphone in front of me and tell me I have to sing, I am shaking. But if you just put me on stage with a guitar, I'm fine.
All right.
No problem. It's something about specifically singing. So I sang that song and a bunch of my friends were there and ran up afterwards. Were like, dude, we didn't know you could fucking sing. I was like, I didn't think any of you would like it. I didn't know I was any good. So then I decided to start pursuing it. Then, of course, the year later, started teaching myself how to play guitar a little bit with my buddy David's help. David was the guy that was playing guitar for me.
Got you.
Started teaching myself how to play guitar, started singing the songs. And then I had a little crappy, remember these kids, you won't remember because you have your phones, point and shoot little digital cameras that also could do video.
Yeah.
there's a whopping 8 minutes of space for video on that camera. So I started playing these songs, and people were like, dude, you're a pretty good singer, you should try this. So I would put my camera on my windowsill, hit the button, and I would just play a song that I learned, and I would sing it, and I could only do it in one take. There's no editing. I don't have money for editing software. Yeah. So I went for it, and that's all. And I just started putting it on Facebook and YouTube, and not because I wanted to get famous, but just because I wanted to have literally wanted to have an archive of my progress. Like, think of it like a progress pic at the gym. Mm-hmm. That's what I was doing, but with my voice and my guitar playing. Because a few people were like, yeah, you can sing, you're in pitch, but you're kind of doing a weird, I used to do the Jarl thing, kind of like Creed singer, where you sing from the back of your throat. So I was doing that too much. So like, you don't sound like you're kind of muddying up your sound. So started just tracking it just to see what would happen as time went on. And I did that. I did one a week at least for 3 years. And I mean, some days some weeks I wouldn't do one. More often than not, I would actually end up doing like 3 in a week.
Does that YouTube channel still exist?
Yeah, it's my YouTube channel. It's under the channel name Fire Angel with 2 L's and then the number 2.
Fire Angel
and 2.
Fire Angel 2 L's, the number 2.
Yeah, and that's it. And so it was just I just made it just to have it, just to see, just so I could have an archive. And also so I could share. The main reason for putting up on Facebook was so that I could send it to people and they could tell me what they thought.
And do you still put stuff on there?
Not recently, and I'll get to why. And It's not because I don't want to. It's just time constraints, and also I found my brain works in different modes on music. Mm-hmm. So I'll get to that in a minute. So I started putting it out, and I did that for 3 years sometimes. And like I said, it took no effort because it was just record, put it on computer, upload. So if I heard a song I really wanted to learn and really wanted to sing, I'd learn it that day and sing it. And then I'd record it and put it out because there was no editing. There was nothing to do. So did that for 3 years. And then a buddy of mine named Levi Manis, who's a local comedian, amazing comedian. I love him to death. He's also the nicest guy on the planet. Ran into him at a concert, and he's sitting there, and we're hanging outside ready to go into the show. And he goes, hey, I keep seeing your stuff online. I go, yeah. And he goes, do you do open mics? I go, no, I have terrible stage fright. I can't play in front of people. I'm shaking. He's like, just start. So, okay. So about 2019, all this is going on to like 2019. I started playing open mics. I got a layoff from work and had like 8 months off. And this was right before COVID hit. Yeah. So we had a lot of time off. So I just started going around to every bar I could find and playing open mics that were, that would let a 19 or 20-year-old in.
Yeah, for sure.
Just started playing open mics everywhere. And people just started coming up to me. Hey, you're really good. We'd like you to play this show. Do you have and the first one was my buddy Steve, who used to own Dreadnought Brewery in Monroe. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I'd like to give you a show. I'll pay you $150. You play for 3 hours. I'll write up like a little contract that just has our names on it.
3 fucking hours?
Yeah.
That's normal?
But no, 2 or 3 hours. Both. That's your typical set list time. Some of these later bar guys, like where I'm one of the bars I hang out at and work at, they'll play from 8 o'clock to midnight, but that's on a weekend. So most places you're playing 2 or 3 hours.
Gotcha.
So he offered me a show. I played. No one said I sucked. So I kept doing it, and I just kept playing open mics. And just by word of mouth, people started calling me, hit me up on Facebook, emailing me, and just like, hey, we'd love you to come play here. And it's just spread. And that's literally how we got to me playing at Bertelsen, was I just started, literally did one open mic singing and tried it. And then did like a couple other like random open mics here and there, started recording myself singing. And then people were like, hey, start. One of my buddies encouraged me to go out and start playing music, and I did, and it turned into money.
Do you spend any time writing original shit?
Oh yeah. So I have actually just started writing a new song. It's probably about halfway done at best. I've got the basic chord progression, first and second verse, got a chorus that I really like. And then I just don't know how the rest of the song is going to map out, basically.
Is it harder to write the music or the words to a song?
That's a tricky one. It depends. And we'll get it. So this is this is the part. This is where I nerd out. This is my
All right,
this is my autism.
That's why you're here.
So I love music's my biggest passion, obviously. A lot of people like, when I first started trying to write songs, what I would do is I would literally, again, same thing. I would just record me playing guitar and stuff that I liked, that I played, that I heard. Like, so, you know, I'd be like playing, and at this point I know how to play guitar. I know my chords, I know I know my drop tunings, I know all that stuff. So I'm like, well, what if I do this and this and this? I know nothing about music theory, except for it exists pretty much.
I don't even know what it means.
Music theory is the science behind how music works. You have a key, like in the key of A is a note. Well, there's 7 notes that fit in that key. So you can and that's what's those 7 notes make up what's called a scale. That's the basis of it. And I couldn't tell you what notes are in which scale or anything like that. I just know that this is a B, this is a C. I can tell you where my fingers go to play these notes, but that's all I can tell you.
Gotcha.
I don't know how I can press on all the right dots. I don't know how they connect. But so when it comes to music, when I started writing, I always knew I wanted to be a songwriter. When I was a kid, I would just try to put melodies and vocals together. And I'm talking when I was 5, I knew that I could do that. Like I love playing with the puzzle that is a song. So I started just even if it was a 30-second guitar part, I would record it, put it on Facebook. And again, like, people are like, that's not what you use Facebook for. But I used it as basically my Google Drive before Google Drive existed. So now I can go onto my computer, go to Facebook, go to videos, and there's all the guitar parts I've ever written and all the songs I've ever written.
Dating back 10 years.
Yeah, dating back forever. And I don't have, and I didn't have and if my computer crashes, I can always go to another one and get it. So I would just do the guitar parts. And then I was like, okay, well, let's try to put lyrics to it. When I first started doing that, I had a buddy of mine that used to be in a band. Rob Ulrich is his name. He lives in Illinois. He used to be in a band called Mindset Evolution. Amazing human being. The whole band was still friends with those guys. But I messaged him. I go, how do you write songs? He's like, well, I like to have the guitars and all the music down first. Then I start writing the lyrics. I have found that music comes to me in any way I can find it and grab it. Sometimes I'm literally walking along and a vocal melody with the lyrics will be in my head. And I'm like, oh, I got to write that down. And I'll write it down and then start coming up with a chord structure to go with it.
And when you say write it down, you're not writing down just the lyrics. You're writing down the notes and what they look like?
No. I'll literally pick up my phone and record the part that's playing through my head over and over again. And I'll sing it into my phone. There are other times, like this current song I'm currently working on, just because it came to me. I started playing. I literally did it by accident. I was playing one note and I went to go hit another note and missed, but realized that the note I wound up on worked. So I was like, oh, that's cool. That's dark. I like the way that sounds. So then I started building off of that. And now I had a basic chord progression, didn't know what my pre-chorus or chorus was going to sound like.
And you mentioned earlier that you were drawn most to metal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Rock metal.
And so when you are finding these or writing these or coming up with your own, are they rock? Are they metal? Are they a combination, a hybrid of everything?
Or? They're almost always and exclusively rock and metal. What subgenre? Doesn't matter. I have one song that I'm pretty sure could be a Blink-182 song if I tried hard enough. I have songs that sound like Alice in Chains. Most people say I end up sounding like the early 2000s Stained, Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, Seether kind of type stuff.
Gotcha.
Which is just how it is. There's nothing intentional.
You're fine with it.
Yeah, there's nothing intentional about it. It's how the music comes out. The song I'm writing right now, every time I hear it, I go, this sounds like a Seether song straight out of one of their records. Not that the chord progression's the same, but it sounds like it would end up being on a Seether album.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'll take it any way I get it. I had one of my songs that I've never fully fleshed out, I have the chord progression for, but the whole thing that came to me first was the lyrics, not even the melody. I wrote the lyrics and went, I know I want to use these. I'm going to have to tweak them, but whatever. And then the melody came, and then I go, there it is. And I go and grab the guitar and start playing notes that work with that melody so that I can, so then I can play with the guitar part a little bit and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll write them any way it comes. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes I'll write entire sheets of lyrics, and then I have a notebook of just lyrics, and you can tell how ADHD I am because you're like flipping through and you're like, he already wrote that one down, but I moved it over here and put it in a chorus of this song or whatever.
And so do they all lean towards being dark or being humor or being mellow, or is it just all over the board? It just depends on what fucking came to you at that one time.
Most of them have to be come with a level of dark in them. Most of them are about just other people. I mean, it's funny. People are like, why are there so many songs about relationships? And I go, well, think about it. Not even romantic relationships. People are your number one stress factor and factor that make you happy. Like almost everything in our lives revolves around other people in general. And they're also the most I should say this. People are the most emotion provoking thing on the planet. I think we can all agree to that. So when I write, it ends up being dark because I have a lot of things, because music for me is just therapy. I have a person in mind when I'm writing a song. I have an idea in mind when I'm writing a song. And again, like especially when I'm writing lyrics first, I'm like, I have a person I want to say this to. And so there's the first EP I ever put out, which was just an acoustic EP. It wasn't very good just because my voice wasn't matured yet and I didn't know what to do with it. Was all exclusively about one person. And it was just everything I wanted to say to them in 6 songs.
Did they ever hear it?
Oh, I'm sure they did. But I never, at that point, the relationship was so far gone and fractured that I didn't care. I was like, no, I'm just writing this. And,
almost like a form of therapy that you needed to put yourself.
It's exactly what it is.
You, regardless of whether anyone else heard it or liked it, you were going to do it because you needed to.
That's exactly what I do with music. People are like, do you do it for the money? Is it fun? I'm like, there are days I do not want to get on stage. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't like people. It has everything to do with like, I'm tired, I'm worn out, but I get on stage and like, even I got on stage one time just sick as a dog, like not throwing up or anything, but like I called my dad the day before and my voice, I couldn't speak. My dad's like, you got a show to play tomorrow. What are you going to do? I'm like, hell if I know, but I'm going to go do it. But the second I got on stage, all the sickness and crap disappeared.
Yeah, you kind of settle.
Yeah, and the second you get off stage, it all comes crashing back in.
Yeah.
So it's a weird, but yeah, music for me is 100% therapy. The song I'm actually writing right now, I'm not going to tell anybody which one it is because I'm going to release like a little acoustic demo version of it that I just recorded at the house. Mm-hmm. But I've actually been trying to write around this idea for a while. I'm in construction. I've been breathing in insulation, concrete dust. I'm a commercial plumber and pipe fitter. So, we deal with all the crap in the world.
Do you hate me? Do you naturally not like me because I'm an electrician?
No. Yeah, no, Sparkies are some of my favorite people on the planet.
Okay, perfect.
I love Sparkies.
Perfect.
But I literally was writing around this idea of because there's plenty of songs out there about like, damn the man, whatever, we're being oppressed thing. I was like, no, I don't want to write about that. I want to write about the hardships of being in a manual labor job where the things around you all the time are trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, for those of you at home that don't know, when you rotohammer into a concrete wall to put a quick bolt in, you're pushing concrete dust everywhere, which what we call in the industry is called silica, which you can't cough out, you can't get rid of. It just builds up in your lungs. So, and we have on our rotohammers, we have vacuums and stuff to try to mitigate the amount of dust. Well, guess what? When you're rotohammering overhead,
above your fucking head,
it's still going to come falling all over your face. It's in the air, and it's caused by, and for those of you that don't know, any amount of breaking up of concrete causes this dust that you can never cough out. So you are constantly going to be basically creating this base layer of crap in your lungs your entire life. One of my first jobs, I won't say the name of the company. They're not bad people. In my opinion, I was fine with them, but it was a local HVAC company. And I was in crawl spaces with spiders, breathing in insulation, getting itchy every day. And so I kind of started writing the idea around just the things that we deal with on a daily basis as construction workers that will kill you, that people don't think about probably. Like just the air you breathe can kill you, So that's kind of what I started writing this song around. And I finally, actually, it's been like years in the making, and I finally got the lyrics and the melodies in.
Got it.
So yeah, it's, it's therapy.
And we're not allowed yet to know the name of the song.
No, because when it comes out, I don't want people. Here's my other thing. There are some songs I write that are on the nose, that are just. I have a song called "Bullets and Ball Gags" that I wrote about. It was on the first EP.
Bullets and ball gags.
Yeah, the idea is a dichotomy thing. Me being the bullet, the other person being the ball gag was the idea. Is this kind of like that? There's a lot of symbolism there between words that were said between us.
Mm-hmm. Between you
and another person. Yeah.
Understood. A specific person.
Yeah. That's what the EP was. That EP was about that person. And I very much was like, I sat up one day in bed, and I was like, and someone had told me, if you could say anything to them, what would you say? And I'm just sitting, and I sat up in bed. I couldn't remember if it was night or morning, but it was dark. And I just sat up and I went, I thought I couldn't hate you anymore. And they're not there. I'm by myself. I'm in my own room. And that was like, bingo. And I just started writing. And that was where the song came from, was the idea of just that, and then joke, funnily enough, a meme. The chorus is actually a meme that got circulated around. I was like, that'd be funny if somebody sang it. So I couldn't figure out what I was going to do for, I literally started writing the verses off of the jumping point of the first words are, I thought I couldn't hate you anymore. Mm. And then the next line of the song is, but you proved me wrong like every time before. So I was like, oh, that works. And so it just started coming right out. And then I remembered that meme, the joke. And I was like, I'm going to use those words because they're not copywritten as my chorus, and just go for it. And so that's where the song literally came from. And the funny thing is, a lot of people love that song. I'm going to ruin it for everybody right now. The entire chord. And this is the other thing, I will specifically, and this is back to your songwriting question, I will write songs just because I want them to sound or have this kind of feel to them. Mm-hmm. I'll hear a song I really love. Like, I want this song to have that feel to it, but I don't want it to be the same song. I just want it to have that feel, that bounce, that whatever it is, that aggression.
The rhythm and cadence.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
It's exactly it. So there's a song by a band called Adama. The lead singer is the old lead singer was the cousin of Korn's lead singer. And they had, it's the first song, I think it's called Everybody or Everyone, is the first song on the first album. And it's this really just bouncy kind of song. Like, it's just kind of like, you can see it, new metal. That's what it was. And I was like, I want to write a song like that. So that's what I had. The chord progression was just this very simple kind of bouncy riff. And then I got to the chorus, and I realized, I was like, what am I going to do for the chorus? And I literally stole the finger pattern from Nickelback's song Too Bad. That's the chorus chord progression. It's the exact same thing. I was like, how do I want to do this that still holds the aggression? It's a whole different tempo, a whole different rhythm, a whole different feel. But I was like, how do I want to do this chorus and what sounds good? And I was just playing the song Too Bad by Nickelback. I went, oh, that works. So it's the exact same fingering. If you can play the chorus to Bullets and Ball Gags, you can also play Too Bad by Nickelback, because it's the same fucking thing. Got it. So yeah, it's songs come out any way they can. But yeah, therapy, writing about specific people. Yeah. Again, ADHD, you're going to hear me just go around in circles for hours.
I get it. And so do you ever, I've only seen you play acoustic. Do you also have electric guitar?
Oh, yeah. So the only reason we did the EP in acoustic is because of money and time. When you want to do production side of music, when you want to do a full electric LP, long play album, whatever, or song, when you record the guitars, most people, especially in rock and metal, you do what's called doubling, which means you record one take and it has to be perfect. And then you record a take over that has to almost be perfect. And not that you can, but the reason why is there's such milliseconds between what you did the first time and second time that it makes the sound bigger and fuller, especially in rock. If you've ever listened to anything by Chevelle, those are like quadrupled. Like they've played the same riff.
Then how do you make it sound the same in live? When people want to go to your show, and how are you making it sound just as awesome as I loved listening to it on the radio or on the Spotify or however I got your music?
Yeah, so that's the fun thing. So you're not going to have the exact same feel. The nice thing is when you double things up in the studio, it just makes the guitar sound thicker. When you're in a room with a large amplifier and a guitar, it already sounds thick and loud.
Got you.
So it's not going to have, you'll hear it a lot. A band I love, 36 Crazy Fists, they use almost no filler in their guitar or their tracks or anything like that. So they don't, there's a song, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But you'll listen to the song and there's a guitar solo. All of a sudden you sit there and you go, I can hear the guitar solo. Everything's fine. But what happened to like the beefiness of the song during the guitar solo? Well, they didn't play an extra rhythm guitar part. They just had the guitar player only play the guitar solo. So the song, it sounds great, but it sounds exactly like it would live, because when they play it live, they only have one guitar player. So when he starts playing guitar and starts playing the solo, the bassist has to take up all that extra space. But so when you do an LP, when you do the long play, so to answer your question, yes, I play electric, I play bass, I play drums, I sing. I am not the best drummer on the planet. When I go into the studio, I hire out a drummer, which is my buddy, who's also the producer, because I'm not a professional. I can play live for you. I can keep a groove. I can keep dynamics. I can keep volume. But being that precise on a drum kit in a studio when things need to be perfect, and you're trying to be as efficient as possible, is not my strong suit.
Educate me on, in today's world of iTunes, Spotify, every other possible way, iHeartRadio, I mean, whatever, right? So when you're talking about creating your own original music and an EP, an LP, whatever, when I'm 52 years old, so I would go buy a cassette tape. I would buy an actual album. I would buy a CD. It wasn't until I was much older that I could just go buy a song for $1.29 or 99 cents or whatever. So in today's world, for someone that is starting or is attempting to break out, are you actually recording are you recording what in my mind is an album? Are you recording this collection of 11 songs and you're going to release it together and someone can actually go physically buy a CD or an album, or it's released on iTunes? What does that look like in today's world? So
for me, you got to remember, I'm doing it independently. I can literally break down from the biggest of bands to me how we all do it differently. For me personally, there's a website called DistroKid. You pay a certain amount of money. You can upload photos that can create your album. You can Photoshop everything you need to do on the website. Create even the picture, the picture that goes on the plastic CD itself. Yep. You can do all that from that website and say, I want 50 of those, and they will print you out 50 CDs for X amount of money, whatever it is. Done. You can do it.
And you can also from that release it to
Yep.
Any avenue that I could buy one song or all of them.
I have all my songs on all streaming platforms because of DistroKid. And as far as I know, they still release too.
You might as well tell people who you really are.
My name is Frasier Green the Fourth. And the funny thing is I actually go under the name The Bullet Hole Concept, which was a whole different conversation between a friend of mine. So when I name
this episode, it's going to be local music with The Bullet Hole Concept with Frasier Green the Fourth?
I would say Frasier Green of The Bullet Hole Concept is what I do. Okay. Because I didn't want to have...
Thank you for being part of my future editing.
Yeah. I didn't... when I specifically went out to make music, I am very selfish when it comes to music. I write my music, like I said, as therapy. So don't touch my shit. It's mine. And when... I did have a band that I worked with two other guys, and I was the primary songwriter. And when it came time to like, hey, we want to write stuff too, totally fine, no problem with that, especially in a band scenario.
But there's a but coming.
But I am very picky. I was like, I don't like it. Change something about it. Like, you know, it doesn't fit what we're trying to do. And I'm not a dick about it. I'm like, I always try to be suggestive. I'm like, hey, what about this? What about that? Why don't we try this? But that's one of the reasons I did my own project. That project was just because we just ran out of time, and one of the guys had a kid, and one of them moved away. Nothing wrong. We love playing music together. But when it comes to my music, because I play all the parts, and I can play all the parts is what I should say, I know how I want the drums to sound. I know how I want the bass to sound. I know how I want the guitars to sound. I know how every piece is going to fit together already in my head. And
do you someday want to be in the showbox?
Oh yeah.
Someday would you love to be playing the Paramount?
Oh, I would love to. So my thing right now, the way I view music right now is I'm doing this right now as a side gig, and it's my passion that I love with all my heart. I have a secure job that pays for it.
Yeah.
And basically I save up money to create an album, put it out, and if enough people like it and find out about it and enjoy it, then I'll probably go on tour.
Can you get to that next level doing everything by yourself?
Yes. Actually, it's easier by yourself because you don't have to pay the rest of the band. You play all the parts. The only thing you have to really...
How would you play all the parts live? By hiring people to play your parts?
Yeah, that's what you do. You get people that are what are called session or touring members.
Yeah.
Or you get lucky enough, which some bands have done. Breaking Benjamin's a good example of this. Actually, a lot of bands are. You'll find this out very quickly as we talk. 90% of bands out there are written by one guy. And one guy in the band is what I should say. So basically, like Breaking Benjamin is all been written by the lead singer. All of it. 100% of it. It's just that the other guys were playing with him. A lot of certain bands.
And so when you...
No, you're good. Go ahead.
So when you create an original and you have written the lyrics and you have your guitar riff, are you also writing and or playing / recording the first versions of bass and drums or a fucking trumpet or whatever you're going to put in the song?
Yeah. So when I do it, like this current song I'm writing, the song that I was talking about, I wrote it already mostly on acoustic, but I go, that's great. I can play that live by myself. The song is done as is, but now I need to be able to make it an electric version as well. I need to be able to make this more aggressive. I need to be able to play this in the studio. I need to hear what it sounds like with all the instruments behind it, because playing it just by myself acoustically is one thing. And I'll give you an example. I have a song that I play live. I'll play it live tonight called Pretending. When I play it and I even introduce it, I say, this song is actually not what you would hear on the record. It's much mellower. It's very quiet. It's very pretty sounding. But when I play it on the record, it's full blown, everything's going. The reason I did that is because the riff I wrote for the song, the way it comes out, can't be played live on an acoustic and sound good. It sounds really weird. It sounds like you're trying to force a rock song onto an acoustic guitar. And so I had to find a way to break the song down into something that it can be played by one person acoustically, me. So I have a version of that song that I wrote first that is everybody swinging away at the drums, everybody pounding away on their guitars, whatever, and all of the aggression that has that song has in it. But I also had to find a way to transfer that into, how do I play this by myself live until I can hire a band? So both, I have to basically I have to write a song, and then I also have to make the reimagined version of it on the fly. Some songs I don't do that with, just because I'm like, no, this song needs to stay heavy and aggressive. And if there comes a time that it sounds goofy on guitar or acoustic and I want to play it, I'm going to play it anyway. There's some songs I don't care. Like there are some songs, the last song, Dying on My Own on the EP, it sounds like a straight up Breaking Benjamin song. And when I play it live, it sounds like that still. I'm like, I'm not going to change it and make it less aggressive and try to fix it. It's just going to be what it is. And if you don't like it, too damn bad.
Yeah, fuck it, who cares?
Yeah. So, and that's, I mean, so basically music money wise is a hobby until I can make it a career is the idea. But yeah, so yeah,
your honest, legitimate dream is that this would become more than a hobby.
Yeah.
And you sound fantastic. So you have do you know within yourself you're capable of it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I have you know I can do this. It's just putting the right pieces together, and
it's just time, and literally just comes down to time and money. And also, and here's the other thing. You said this earlier, and this is where I jumped on this rabbit hole, is you said something along the lines of, if you put it out and people don't like it too damn bad, that's their own problem. That's how I view it. You know, if I put together this next LP that I'm starting to try to put together, I'm starting to save the money for, starting to get everything together, because I'm going to the studio and I'm going to put this album out that I've waited years to put out.
Right.
And if I put it out and no one likes it, and I don't go on tour and no one wants to hear it, that's fine. But I got it out of my head. I put out an album. Maybe some people will pick it up and buy it. Maybe some people won't. But I'm in that position of, I do music because I love it. And if I don't love it, I don't do it.
I do this because I think it's fun.
Right.
I don't, would I love that somehow I could go viral or something somehow that that this pays my bills?
Right.
That would be a fucking dream come true.
Exactly.
People have always told me, I've joked for years, I've never seen a mirror I didn't like, and I love the sound of my own voice. I've said that, and it's true, actually. But I have always, my dad was an awesome storyteller. He was a truck driver. He was always on the CB, and I think him and his bros on the road talking shit on the CB radio, and me sitting there next to him and listening to all of that, and him just always being a good storyteller and delivering a joke in the perfect fucking way, no matter how many times he told it.
Yeah. My dad's the same way.
I just feel like I've always pulled that from him. And I get irritated when through the years, people like to poke at me and say that I always want to be the center of attention. And I'm like, motherfucker, just because in a party I end up being the center of attention, you cocksuckers made that happen.
Right.
I didn't raise my hand and go, oh, I got another story to tell.
Right.
No, one of you cocksuckers said, hey, tell everybody. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, 30 people are cracking up and watching me tell a story.
Right.
That's not my fault.
Right.
What? I'm going to be fucking apologize?
Right.
And so all of that for years and years and years, I'm like, when this avenue became popular, a podcast, I didn't know what a fucking podcast was.
Right.
I'm like, what do I have to fucking lose?
Right. That's where I was when I started the first podcast I ever did with my friends. We were like, it started as a joke. One of my buddies, we were out camping, we're all drunk, and goes, dude, we could make a reality TV show out of the bullshit we do. And I was like, yeah? He goes, we should do that. I'm like, are you fucking out of your mind? You want to get cameras around us? We'd be hauled off to jail in minutes. And then he goes, okay, well, what about a podcast? That's how it started. The first podcast I ever did, which is disbanded now, was literally just me and my 5 buddies that we'd sit at the bar at, my best friends. And we're like,
you just talk shit.
We would crack each other up, just losing our shit, just because we're telling stories over and over, same stories over and over again. And we're looking at each other. And so then the guy that, my buddy Thomas, who created the whole idea, the reality show idea, was like, okay, I'm going to change it. We're not going to do a TV show, but we are going to do a podcast, and we're all just going to get beers. He's like, let's just do what we do at the bar at somebody's house with microphones in front of us and see what we come up with.
Yeah.
Some of the most fun 2 years of my life, just sitting there with my buddies. And it wasn't even just like, again, we had no desire to make money. The whole time we were on, the website doesn't exist anymore, but at any moment we could have pressed a button on that website and they would have given us ads to read, to make money. They would have given it to us.
I'd be happy to do that.
Right. We never did it because we never wanted to push that button, because it was like, no, this is the time for the 6 of us. We'd go over to somebody's house. We would have homemade dinner. Somebody would make dinner that night, and we'd sit around and we'd bullshit for the next 2 hours.
And that was funny.
We're
funny.
Yeah.
In construction, most of us, well, not just construction, but especially us on job sites, and the camaraderie that can be built.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's always a couple, at least one, usually multiple guys that they're just morons or they're dickheads, and they end up bringing it upon themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm never a bully, but if you want to bring something upon yourself, I'll call your ass out instantly, and you're going to regret it because I've always been pretty fucking good at it.
So I'll tell you this story because it ties right into that, what you were saying. He's not a moron. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever worked with, but I jokingly call him on the job site Dad. That's not a term of endearment. He's my old geriatric, dementia-ridden father on the job site. And I've told my dad this story too. But the guy I'm working with, and the quick story is we were going to do a steam. I'm going to use a lot of technical terms. Don't worry about it. They don't mean anything. We were doing a steam shutdown. We had to pull some coils out and replace them. And the part that needs to be noted is we had some things that we thought had asbestos in it. There's a specific crew that's supposed to come up and check it out. We were told they'd be coming up around noon to check out the things that might have asbestos and give us what's called a good faith survey, which just tells us yes or no, it has asbestos. I had already met the general contractor and the supervisor for them. I don't know if it was the superintendent or their foreman, but I had already met the guy, very nice guy. And my coworker's with me, and he's 56, so 26 years older than me. And so we were told that the asbestos guys were supposed to come up at noon. Well, lo and behold, the general contractor and one of his other guys comes up with him. And they're looking around, and my coworker rolls right up to him and doesn't even ask how they're doing, nothing, just goes, "Hey, so we just wanted to make sure that the asbestos was going to get pulled out. We wanted to know, are you guys working over here? Because we got to cut this out." And da-da-da-da. And the two general contractor guys are like eyes wide, like, who the hell are you? Like, not mad, but they're just like, what are you talking to us about? Hold on. So like they're trying to do that. So I grab him by the shoulder and pull him down. I go, "Dad, these aren't the asbestos guys. They're the general contractor. They have no idea what you're talking about." "I'm very sorry." He's hard at hearing. "You need to leave them alone now." And he's just like, "What the fuck are you yelling at me for?" And everybody started to get it. So I joke with him that he's my old geriatric, dementia-ridden father.
Got it.
Which he didn't help himself. By the very next day, we're walking in the tunnels of a certain aerospace company in the Pacific Northwest, falls, hits his knee on the concrete. I go, "Dad, are you okay? Do we need to get you out of here?" He stands up and smacks his head on a pipe above him.
Of course he does.
I go, "Okay." I said, "Okay, Dad, time to go back to the home. It's time to go." So yeah, you always have guys you always will have stories on the job site. Mm-hmm. And to your camaraderie point, we have guys of all races, all different walks of life, different sexualities.
None of that fucking matters.
No one cares. And you know what? We pick on each other for being different races and different everything.
We only care when one of them decides to turn into a cunt.
Right.
And actually be a little bitch and want to make a big deal out of nothing. Okay.
Right.
That's different.
And not even, and that's actually the number one thing that will get you, the one thing that'll get you
removed.
Blackballed on a job site is not being able to take a joke or joke with what's going on. And that doesn't mean that everything's cool. If you politely come up to us and say, "Hey, I'm dealing with this. Can we not make jokes about it, please?" Everyone will understand.
100%.
But if you make a scene about it, now it's a problem.
It's a fucking problem.
And here's the reason why people don't get this. And this is my thing with it. I've gotten lucky with the whole, people like racism's on the rise or whatever. I've gotten very lucky I live in a world where no one gives a shit who the guy is next to you or what color he is, what language he speaks, or who he screws, because that guy might save your life tomorrow. Mm-hmm. No one cares. No one gives a shit. And no one cares if there's a woman on the job site. You want to know why? Because she might save your life tomorrow. No one cares. Not a thing to be said. As long as you're able to show up, do your job, and be competent at it and not cause other people a bunch of problems, we don't care. We really don't. I know girls on the job site that will run, actually every girl I've ever met on a job site will run circles around the boys any given day of the week, hands down, because part of that is because maybe they felt they had to prove themselves.
Yeah, it is.
But
that's what I believe.
Yeah, I believe that.
And they don't, and most of them, they don't act that way.
Right.
Their actions are showing you that deep down they feel that way. So they're overachieving, but not in a way that you're like, motherfucker.
Right. They're not overachieving because we put a gun to their head and made them. They're overachieving because they're like, "No, I'm going to prove myself that I can do this." And guess what? Every time they have, they bust their ass. I've
had the flip side of it. I've had a female apprentice that I had to prove a point to that didn't work out all that well.
Right. Well, but again, it's always because man, woman, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. The second that it becomes It's weird because as immature as us construction workers act, we have the highest amount of maturity. Because if you just don't come up to us and tell us there's a problem, now there's a problem. Like the problem exists when you decide to not act like an adult.
Correct.
If you just, if you're like, hey, again, if you just say, hey, not cool, or, cool off for a little bit and then we talk about it, that's fine. The second you run to the foreman and complain that you're being abused, now it's a problem.
I've always wanted I wanted a handful of us to have fucking GoPro helmets on our fucking hard hats, because the shit that we say and come up with, and at break time, I always called it the circle of trust, an open forum, that if you don't want to listen to no rules, there is no rules.
Oh yeah.
If you can't handle not being upset over a single thing that's going to get said in the next half hour, you need to have lunch in your fucking car.
Yep.
Or go sit over there. Don't be part of this bullshit. And we've all,
my dad had stickers actually created, or maybe it wasn't my dad, but one of my best friends worked with my dad on a job site, and they actually had stickers made that said, I survived trailer 5, because trailer 5 is where they took break on the job site. They number where the trailers are, and they numbered trailer 5, and God forbid anyone walk in that break room when they were talking. And not because they were being inappropriate, but because that person was about to get roasted up one side and down the other. And it didn't matter who you were, why you were there, or what you were doing. You were about to get your ass handed to you. And that's just how it was. And it was the funniest thing you'd ever seen. Again, they had stickers made for it. If you showed up in the job shack and hung out for a lunch, you got a sticker.
Nice.
So, that's just how it is.
Good times.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about the sidebar of construction workers. Some of us just I've always worn it as a badge of honor.
Absolutely. When I did detailing work for a little bit, I got pulled out of the field and put into the office to do detailing work, which I love doing. It took a break on my body because I do so many things all the time because I'm always going. So it was nice to have a break, but there were days I'd walk in and I'd be like, I just want to wear my boots. There's something about you go out on a job site and get dirty with everybody, and there's a again, like you said, there's a pride and a camaraderie of knowing every day you might die doing what you're doing, or the things you're doing are going to kill you slowly. And it's not a macho machismo thing. It's not an ego pride thing. It is I am willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do to make their lives better or easier. And I take pride in the fact that I get dirty every day and I have to do things that other people don't want to do. So
there was always a part of me that was ego, that when I was an apprentice, because my dad always told me, he beat into me, not physically, but emotionally, riding in the truck with him for so many summers. He would tell me, you never kiss anyone's ass. You shut your fucking mouth until you've earned the right to open it.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that he told me from when I was like 9 going on. And so by the time I was I started as an electrician 2 days after my 20th birthday. And I knew, and it was a small company, I knew that when my boss asked any of the journeymen, who do you want with you, which would be an apprentice, I wanted every one of them to say my name. To
say me, yeah.
Because then I would always have a fucking job.
Right.
And it wouldn't be because I was an ass kisser. Right. It was because I always carried a notepad because I'm forgetful. So I would always be writing down, and they'd fuck with me about it sometimes. I wouldn't care. I would still take all my notes so that I always knew what they were fucking telling me. Or I would ask questions. I wanted to get more done than the other apprentices. I wanted my work to look better than the other. I just knew I wanted that to be that.
Exactly. That's exactly. And I'm still an apprentice. I technically don't journey out probably around until March or April, but that's how I always am. I'm looking at the other apprentices, and not like I'm going to climb on top of you dog pile. I'm fighting my way to the top of the hill, but I'm going to do better than you. I'm going to move faster than you. Yes. And I'm going to prove myself that I am worth.
I don't need to say anything. Right. Everyone else can already see it.
Right. And same thing, just exactly like what you said. The second someone goes, hey, what apprentice do you want? I want my name to be first.
Every time.
Because I want to be able to be that guy that's reliable, dependable.
And so then once I earned that route, when I what I meant by ego, I don't think it was ego that wanted me to be that person. It was survival.
Right.
But once I was that person, or once I had become a journeyman, then and it's, to me, it's aggressive camaraderie, but I always wanted my conduit as an electrician.
Yep.
My conduit bending looked better than yours.
Yep.
I installed more than you.
Yep.
I installed more lights than you, because now I can fuck with you.
Right.
And I'm not fucking with you disrespectfully. I'm fucking with you because I want to drive you
to be better,
to do better.
Right.
Because now look how much this team. Now we're a team, and we just killed these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've just always, dude, it is so fucking hard to find.
It's really hard nowadays. My big thing, my driver, is actually not even like the current stuff. It's what will people see in the future. So, example, I walk into a bathroom, plumber, and I see pipes that are crooked. I see this, that's this. I see this, that's way off. That isn't up to code. And I go, who the hell? I say it all the time. I go, who the fuck installed this? And who was allowed to install this like this and leave it here?
And who left it like that?
Right. I will never, ever in my life leave something and look at it and go, nah, it'll be fine. No. It will be. One joke we have, I'm pretty sure you've heard it too, is perfection will do for today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it's not perfect,
I've looked at an apprentice. I've handed him a Sharpie, and I said, you're either gonna fix that, or you're gonna put your name on it, because it's gonna remain exposed. If it was whatever. I'm not a psycho about things that are in a wall or above a T-bar ceiling, right. But if it's gonna be exposed forever, the shit's fucking perfect.
Oh yeah,
because it doesn't. It only takes a little bit more practice for you to be able to look at that and have pride in it.
Right. Well, or like it, for instance, you're doing, like from us, we're doing, and you guys do them too, but you do threaded fittings. Mm-hmm. And let's say, we put it on and you go to put your level on it and it's rising up on one side by 1/8 of an inch per foot. Well, it's a 2-foot run. By the time you put the other end on, you hang it properly, you can just push it down that 1/8 inch. You don't have to sit there for like 20 minutes and get the fitting exactly at bubble perfect. It's not about like, make it perfect, every little bit meticulously perfect. It's about get it there, and then the rest of it will sort itself out. Like I said, I was running a stainless steel line, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, and just worried about that bubble just touching one of those lines. And I'm like, no. And my journeyman's like, hey, if you just run it over to the wall and support it all the way along the wall, that 1/8 of an inch will just work itself out. Mm-hmm. That we're not talking a whole lot here. So, you don't have to sit there and OCD that crap.
My wife, like in the past, when we've got buy furniture, a mattress, whatever, I'll sit down on something or I'll lay down and I'll be like this. And I'm supposed to be deciding if I like what and she's like, hello. And I'm like, she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, who the fuck would install conduit? I mean, that looks fucking terrible.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy does that too. He's an electrician. And he's like we can't walk into a house without him looking at the can lights and everything. I'm like, dude.
Or a restaurant, any of it.
Yeah, it's bad.
Anyways, all right. Let's get back to music.
Yeah, off the construction line.
Off the construction. So, God, where the fuck did we leave off? We were talking, I was asking how and we didn't really finish it.
Yeah.
That I got in a sidebar about why I wanted to do the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can't afford it either.
Right.
I would love it if there was a camera looking right at your face and a camera looking right at my face, each corner of this table. Right. And then there was going to be editing to actually not have this entire episode, everyone's watching the side of us as you and I talk to each other.
Right.
I can't fucking afford it.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm not ready to invest that level of money into it yet.
Right.
My wife, the boss, would tell me that we're not doing that quite yet. So knowing all of that and knowing that you can be successful doing everything on your own, and you would only fill those with other people if and when you were going to play that in a large enough venue that warranted it.
Or even going on tour. Like going on tour, I would hire out. If someone's like, hey, you're going on tour, it wouldn't be, unless it was specifically booked as an acoustic tour, it would be with a full band. And at that point, I would be looking for members to pay to go on the road.
And when your original music, when you're creating it, you're playing all the pieces, and then you have the software that layers it all over each other.
So what you do is, the way I have it, I have a mixing board, a bigger one that I bought for when we were doing the podcast with 6 people because we needed 6 or 7 channels. So what I do is I have enough of a setup that I will mic up my amplifiers. I'll do everything, and you record everything one at a time. So for instance, doing this new song, I plugged my guitar directly into the board, and then I had a microphone directly in front of my microphone. So I got 2 channels recording at the same time, what's called wet and dry. Wet being the microphone version, dry being directly plugged in. And I played through the song. Cool. I took my microphone, put it on a stand, and I sang the song. And then, if I screwed up a note, I'd stop and re-record that part or whatever. And then I recorded a guitar solo over part of that. Then I plugged in, put the microphone in front of the cabinet, which is the speakers for the guitar, and I recorded the guitar solo or whatever. So you literally do everything one take at a time. So, and that's what I was saying with doubling guitars is something that's heavily used in rock and metal. You record a guitar part, and then you record that exact same guitar part again. And what it does is the micro milliseconds between the 2 guitar parts, because you got a click in your ears that tells you how fast you're supposed to be playing and all that stuff. Those micro milliseconds between each one are what makes that sound thicker, because it's not off. It's the exact same thing you just did. It's just it's impossible to be exactly at the same time as a human.
Do you play with anything in your ear?
When I play live?
Yeah.
Nope. It's just me. I can pick the tempo. That's the nice thing about playing live. My friend was asking about that because he plays music. He's like, he's always played in bands. And he's like, well, you have to, if anybody wants to change the song or do this, we can't do that because we are used to practicing it a certain way and we can't just make it up on the fly. Oh, he asked me about my set lists playing live. He goes, how do you write down your set list beforehand? I go, no, I pick whatever I want to play. I don't have anybody else to worry about. And he goes, yeah, in a band, we have to write our set list down beforehand so that everybody knows what song we're playing next. Otherwise, between each song, they have to look at each other and go, what song are we playing next? What key is it?
And who the fuck wants to watch that?
Right, exactly. So they have to have it written down. I can go on stage. I have 3 or 4 songs I always open with because they're songs everybody knows, everybody will know, everybody will love. And they also show the different ranges of types of music I'm going to play. And it kind of also shows off my voice.
That's the first thing that Tiff and I said to each other, that you played songs that I've never heard anyone want to play by themselves. Up in the air tonight?
Yeah.
Dude, I've never heard anyone play that on a fucking acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. And you do an amazing job at it. And there was a few others that, like when I told, like Nutshell is one of my all-time favorite songs.
Oh yeah, hands down.
And that's what was so cool, was you played some things that I've just never, you pushed the limits of what, I don't know. To me, it's from a non-musician. It's like, are other people just afraid to do those? Are they hard, or do they think that they're just not mainstream and this crowd isn't going to like that? I mean,
I'll tell you what it is. So first off, thank you. I appreciate that. When I put together the set list, I have 2 things. Am I playing what I want to play? And also there's a level of, yes, you need to appease the crowd. If you don't,
which one is greater than the other? Or do you change it when you actually see us?
Yeah, it changes every night. Like I said, the first 3 songs, and I'll tell everybody, the first 3 songs I play are always In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, but I change it up drastically. It sounds more like kind of like a gunslinger.
Oh, absolutely.
The second song is always Nirvana's Heart-Shaped Box, one of my favorite songs of all time. And then the third song is always Country Boy by Aaron Lewis. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I choose those songs is because you get country, you get older rock, you get, kind of pop rock, I guess, with Phil Collins. And then you get some loud, beastly song that is Heart-Shaped Box.
And you're judging our reaction to each one?
I am. And I'm sitting there every song, I'm checking what you know and what you don't know.
You're seeing how many of us are either singing with you or paying attention now and not just eating my fucking hamburger.
I am watching you motherfuckers the whole time. But I am. I am. And the reason why is because I need to know what kind of crowd I have or what they want to hear. To your point of you don't hear those songs often. When I first started playing live, again, goes back to I'm going to play what I want to play. That was the first thing. No song I play do I dislike. No song do I play that I would skip on the radio, because I love all those songs. But here's what I got sick of. Growing up in Snohomish, we have First Street, which is the bar alley. Uh-huh. And for a long time, it used to be Music Alley too. You had Stewart's that had music. You had the Sports Page that had music. You had the Oxford directly next door to them that had music. And if I walked up and down that street 10 times, I'd probably hear the same 6 songs played at all 3 different venues. And to this day, it's still that way. Most of the bands that come into the bar, I'm not going to mention the bar name just because I don't want to think I'm insulting them. But most of the bands that come into the bar that I play at, I hear the same fucking songs every Friday and Saturday night when I'm standing outside bouncing. I have heard Flock of Seagulls, which is a song I used to love, the Ran So Far Away by Flock of Seagulls. I have heard that every single night that I have bounced for the past 4 weeks. Want to know why? Because everyone's playing the same shit. And I got tired of it. And I said, I'm tired of going to a bar and hearing a bunch of songs that I have already heard. And I understand you all want to get up and dance. But guess what? Our generation's moving in. It's a constant ebb and flow. So the new music needs to come in. You need to play music that now it's the 90s, 2000s. And I even go up to the present day.
Hopefully I wasn't offending you when I decided to send you my dream playlist.
No, not at all.
I wasn't expecting you to actually fucking do anything with it. I was just sitting there going, oh.
Yeah, no, I totally knew where you're coming from. But no, and actually, I think over half those songs I know or can play. I just don't play some of them a lot. I'll give you an example. You said I should do Snuff. I'll be playing that tonight just because it was a special request. That's not a song I like to play a whole lot, and not because it's a bad song, but because it's so depressing.
It is.
And so many people would just be like sinking into their chair like, this sucks.
It is a fucking depressing song.
So you also have to balance that, and that's why I play a lot of the country, like boppy drinking songs. You do have to, when you're playing live, you do have to bounce back and forth and let people have some fun. I can't just play all the songs I want to play. If I'm in a bad mood, that means I'm only going to play shitty songs that no one wants to hear.
Granted.
Yeah. So, like tonight, I will be changing up the playlist. I'm going to be throwing in a lot more Stained. There's some different songs I've been working on. There's a couple songs I wanted to try out for a while that I haven't done because I kind of got comfortable.
That are yours or covers?
Covers. I might throw in some more originals tonight. We'll see.
Do you know who Social Distortion is?
Of course I do.
I've heard them play live one time. They played Tainted Love, and their fucking version of Tainted Love. And I can't find it. I can't buy it. Yeah. No matter where I look, I can't somehow get that so that I can have it on my own playlist. Yeah. But their version of that song was fucking fantastic.
That's something some artists do. They'll never record that song, but they just throw it out there in a live show just for fun, just to
fuck with everybody. I guess.
No, it's for them. It's fun for them to play, but it's also like, hey, here's a little nugget that you can't get anywhere else. You're only going to see it live at our show, and it's a little like, it's almost like like I said, a little like, hey,
is that what in the air tonight? Is that what that is for you?
No.
Is that a nugget for you?
No. I don't have any songs that are like little like free. I'd back that up. If the crowd's rowdy enough, I'll break out Friends in Low Places, and that's like here's your drinking song for the night, guys.
Yeah. You don't really like the song.
No, not my biggest. It's not my favorite. I learned it for a friend a long time ago, and it's not my favorite song to play. I like to sing it.
It's the one that every one of these fuckers are going to sing along with.
Exactly. So like, and that's where I was saying, you gauge the crowd. There are certain nights where you show up and no one's having a good time and everybody's kind of tired. Not because I'm playing bad, but you can tell everybody's just kind of wiped out or whatever. So you kind of play slower, more relaxed, easy listening
and
stuff.
You've been doing this long enough that you wouldn't let that situation get to you. You're there no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll play, again, I'm still going to play songs that'll make people dance. I'm still going to play a little bit of everything. But that's really what you've seen me play. The first hour is all covers, and it's all different smatterings of covers. And it's literally just me testing everybody to see what's going on and where people want to be. And then
I never even fucking thought about that.
And then as the night goes on, and again, you've only seen me twice, but if I get a good enough crowd, that's actually the night you guys came, I was planning on playing some originals, but everyone was up and dancing and having a great time and loving every song I was playing. So I was like, nope, we're sticking to covers tonight because I'm not going to break out the depressing the depressing hard rock Seether stuff that I play.
Yeah.
And, sounds like Stained and Seether. I don't want to bring down the mood. Right now, everybody's having a great time. Let's stick to that. And then there are nights where I'm like, no one's here. I'm playing whatever I want to play. And so, it all just depends. Yeah. So, I'm gauging a crowd at every moment, and and I think I've said this when you were playing or when you were there, almost every show I go, tonight you're going to hear a bunch of songs that, you guys should all know. If you don't know a song I play tonight, I'm going to wonder what rock you lived under for the past 40 years. There are going to be songs tonight that you don't know. And that's because they're songs that I have to play for myself to keep me happy. And I say that every show. I go, so if you hear a song that's not for you, that's your 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes to go get a new drink, order some food. Like, just think. And so that way it's also...
Yeah. Fuck off.
No, not even that. It's the opposite of that.
I know.
I think people when they see, especially a solo artist like me, there are two modes of like, people either come in and are like, oh fuck, there's a musician playing. I don't want to be here because it's going to be loud and I don't want to listen to what he has to do because I want to talk with my significant other or wherever I'm at. There's the other people that come in, and I feel like some audience members feel obligated to pay attention. Like they feel bad if they're not paying attention to you because you're there, you're providing a service.
Yeah.
So, and I know I do. Like if I'm, maybe it's just me because I'm a musician, but if I'm in a crowd and I'm not really paying attention or looking like I'm paying attention or looking like I'm having fun, I feel bad because I'm like, I don't want people to do that to me on stage. So giving that speech gives people the opportunity to tune out if they need to. I'm like, you don't have to be here the whole time.
You're letting them know it's okay.
It's okay to chill out. Go get a drink. I don't care. Go have fun. If I play a song that isn't up your alley, go do something else. It's fine. You don't have to sit here and baby me. I'm going to play music one way or another for the next 2 hours. So strap in. But, if I play something that just isn't your vibe, that's okay. Take a break. Let your feet sit for a minute if you're dancing. If if you need another drink, go get one. There's your chance. So it lets people relax a little bit. But most of the time I'm there to make sure people have fun. The other thing is also when you're hired out to play a live venue like a bar or whatever, the big thing that determines if you come back is how many people you bring and how many people tell the bartender to bring you back. Because here's a philosophy thing. You don't go to a bar to buy alcohol. Everyone at the computer on the other end of that phone just went, what the fuck did he just say? You don't. You can go by to the store and buy alcohol for 1/10 of the price you buy it for in a bar.
That's true.
A bar does not sell you alcohol. What they sell you is atmosphere. My job is to add to the atmosphere until I go on tour. Now, when I go on tour for my own music, my job is to sell my music. And my job is to make you like my music. So when I get hired out by Big Lake, whatever, doesn't matter. My job is to get people in the door and get people talking about how cool that musician was and what a good vibe he brought to the bar. And my favorite compliment I get, which I get it all the time, not to be egotistical, is, dude, I love the songs you played.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And I had a guy one time that is my entire point of going and playing live at a bar or at a brewery, is to make sure you like the songs I play and that you like the way I play them.
Because all that means is that when you decide that you're going to play an original,
people are already tuned in.
I'm ready to pay attention.
Yep, that's exactly it.
I'm impressed at what you're playing because it's not usual. Normal's the wrong word.
Right.
It isn't usual that I'm hearing someone play those. I like the way you played it. I wonder what else this motherfucker does on his own.
That's literally why I play all covers for the first hour. Gets everybody comfortable, gets everybody used to my voice, gets everybody used to what they're going to hear. It also gets people used to how I'm going to change some things. Like, again, In the Air Tonight, I said earlier, I play this kind of gunslinger, almost country rock version of it. And it makes people go, okay, we know what we're in for. So then when I go, hey, I'm going to play an original for you guys, is that okay? I've never had anybody not cheer.
Right.
Because people are like, okay, yeah, we're on board for this. We've found out that we like what you play, like the style. I kind of tell people it's more on the rock side, so it's going to be a little heavier than what I've played tonight because I'm playing mostly pop rock and pop country songs. But this is what I do. And I've had a few people that are like, dude, you need to get that as a single going, like, stuff like that, because they're already keyed in. And that's the whole point, is get people keyed in and paying attention and then keep them there.
And how soon how close are you to release? Hello, how close are you to releasing some of your original?
So, not very close. It's probably going to be at least another 6 months. People don't realize that the recording process and the production process for an album takes a lot longer than you think. I'm going to go into the studio and do 3 full tracks, with 3 singles basically, and put those out and start there. And then whatever money I get off that will fund doing the rest of the album.
It's so easy. I mean, as I was saying, that I can just go buy that one song.
Yep.
Or I can go buy this.
Yep.
Or if I see someone, I'm old enough that I got to fall in love with MTV because there was no reality bullshit or game shows. It was music videos.
Right.
And so I was 9 when it came out on its own or whatever. And so YouTube, because I don't have cable TV.
Right.
YouTube is my MTV. I'll literally, and what I learned a year ago is that when I have searched for enough songs, now I turn on YouTube and it'll be someone that I like and it will have mix. So I'll click on it and YouTube will just play 3 hours worth of fucking videos where I'm just, I mean, yes, there's ads and whatever, but that it allows it to exist. So I'm not complaining.
Right.
But it allows me to just sit there and enjoy it. The point I'm making is that you being able to release 1, 2, or 3 of your singles and just release them on their own, it's so much easier for all of us, the masses, to be able to just choose that one, whether I'm buying it on Apple or wherever, or just choosing to watch that one.
Right. And then it also creates the fun thing. It's like a trailer for the album, like a movie trailer.
Yeah.
So then people are like, ooh, this part's good. Wonder what else he's got in store. Because my idea with a single is I don't want any singles to be the quietest song on the album, and I don't want them to be the heaviest song on the album. I want you to hear a good base layer of what the album's going to sound like foundationally, and then hit you with the highs and the lows when you listen to the whole thing. But yeah, so I'm about 6 months out. The reason for that is, again, so you go in and let's say one song, right? I record one song. I have to record the guitar part at least 2 times without mistakes. I have to do the same thing with the bass without mistakes. A drummer has to record the drum parts without mistakes. I have to sing the song without mistakes. And then when you finally get all that, you find a part you don't really like, cut it out, re-record just that part. And then it goes into mixing and editing, because then you add in all your reverb and your echo and the extra stuff that adds some atmosphere to the song. So it's not just raw track, raw instruments. And then after all that, you go through and then you go back and look at it and you listen to every single track and go, can we make that a little louder? Can we make that a little quieter? Can we add a little more of this here? Can we, and then you hear a part and you're like, I don't like that. Let me re-record that and stick that back in there. That's happened before. And then you get it set off to what's called mastering. Now, because if you just take the song raw and try to play it, it will actually be quieter than you think it is. I don't know why that is or how it works. I don't know any of the technicality or geekiness behind that. Then you get what's called your masters back. And then after you get that, you're ready to go. So there's a whole, I mean, the 6-song EP I released, we did over the course of technically 3 weekends, was recording. Then my buddy had it for a couple of months, getting it edited and everything. Now, granted, he did tell me it took a little longer than it should have for that. And he has his own job that he was doing.
Right.
He's not a professional producer. Well, he's professional in his quality, but he doesn't do it for a living. So, it took a month or 2 to do 6 songs, and then we listened to them, and then we re-recorded some parts, and we put those back in, and then we mastered them, and then they were ready. So 6 songs still took 3 months, 3-4 months. So yeah, it's a process. So yeah, so I would hope that I've been saving up money and cash to go do this. I'm hoping that here in the next 2 or 3 months, maybe depending on how schedules play out. The other thing is I have some schooling to do and all that between December and February. I would love to get everything done because I love this time of year. I love the dark. I love the rain. It helps me creatively think.
My favorite month of the whole year is October.
Yeah, absolutely.
July and October.
Yeah, I love October. I love November. I love December. My family's always been big on the holidays, so it's always been a point of when it gets dark and gloomy out, I'm always like just dialed in. And it helps. Like I said, it's helped me creatively. Every single rainy season, I'm in it. And so I'm hoping to get in sometime in November, maybe early December, get into the studio and get recorded. Hopefully, have everything out. February, March, April is my goal. Does that ever happen? No. It's like anything you try to do creatively. It's like anything you try to do creatively. I plan on doing it by here, but expect it the month after that.
Right. So I'm currently sitting on 100 shorts, right? So the software that I use for all of my recording, my editing, my studio, it has its own AI. It kicks out all the notes and the summary, and it has what it's called these little magic clips, which is creating shorts.
Yeah.
So I think this will be episode 16, 17, somewhere in there. So I have like 100 shorts, and I have yet to figure out, and I have someone that's getting ready to show me in the next couple of weeks how I go on YouTube and Insta or X or whatever, Twitter, TikTok.
There's too many things.
Dude, it's fucking stupid. I'm too old for this.
It is.
And release all the shorts because you hope that a short is what really grabs everyone. Yeah. And I could go from having 69 subscribers to 69,000 subscribing.
Right.
That would be a dream come true.
I heard a study earlier today that kids nowadays actually start to physically get stressed out. Like, not that they're like mad or agitated, but you can start seeing fidgeting or some degree of stress if a video is longer than a minute long now because of TikTok, because of shorts, because of all that crap. I watch videos all the time because I'm a big weightlifter. I love weightlifting, and also I train MMA. So I'm constantly watching things on YouTube that are 30 minutes long, explaining different things and all sorts of stuff, going into the scientific breakdown. So I do it all the time. Like, I'm watching long form stuff all the time. We're listening to podcasts like this that are long form all the time.
Gotcha.
But these kids, I'm like, you can't sit down for a minute and watch a damn video?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, to learn?
Right. Can you chew gum?
Yeah. Gosh.
So
that crap drives me nuts.
There's a bunch of other shit that I would like to talk about. We'll look and see what time it is and how much time we have left. But I would like to do that. I'd like to end this in a good spot where we've just really focused mostly on your music and who you are and what you have going.
Yeah, man.
And then, I think that we're going to kill this. And then I told everyone at the beginning of this episode that I really wanted to talk about dissonant harmonics, which is DISSONANT harmonics, which is Frasier's podcast with a buddy.
Yep.
And there's just a couple of other things. So I think that we have time left.
Yes, for sure.
So just for editing purposes and being able to have a different episode where we can pick at some other shit.
Sure.
I think that I'd rather break it up. And I probably won't even edit this out. I'm going to let you guys be part of all of this with us.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the fucking scenes at LMF Studios. So I am going to count down and we're going to cut this off. I appreciate my wife. I mean, I had to ask, I literally had to ask I'm like, you want to fuck this guy? I mean, what's going on? What is going on with you, babe? And that's just how I am. And obviously we don't have any issues there. So it won't be awkward when you see my wife.
I was like, Am I in trouble now?
No. So we've just, I realize we've only seen you 1.5 times, but we enjoyed it. Looking forward to going there tonight. She's down there right now at Farmstrong watching Chris Egger and throwing axes and line dancing or whatever it is that she's probably causing fucking trouble. So anyways, I appreciate you being here for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, man.